20 years after I donated sperm, I was contacted by a woman asking for child support. When I said no, my wife called me heartless and left. While at work I got a phone call from my wife, telling me to get home immediately, as there was a woman at our door, claiming that her son is mine. Dumbfounded, I left work early and rushed home to find a woman a bit older than me, and a teenage boy sitting in my living room. My wife pulled me aside and asked what was going on. I told her I had no idea, then walked over to the woman. I asked who she was and what she was doing here. She just stood up, grabbed her son, and said, "Jeremy, this is your dad." The kid just looked awkwardly at me, barely making eye contact. I asked why she thought I was the child's father. She told me she did a DNA test, and found me on one of those ancestry websites. She explained that about 16 years ago, she bought some sperm and got pregnant. She explained how her husband was sterile, and they agreed to use a sperm bank. Only as her son got older, the more distant her husband got, until he finally left them both. He told her he didn't want to raise someone else's baby. She had been struggling ever since, so she thought that the actual father might want to meet his son, or at the very least provide financial support. I told her that her story was sad, and I'm sorry her husband left, then asked if we could speak in private, away from the kid. My wife took him into another room and I got real with this woman. I told her once again I was sorry for her struggle, but there was nothing I could do for her. She said she was hoping if I saw the boy, I would just give her some money. I told her I'm happily married with a baby on the way, and that baby is my only child. I didn't know her anything, and I wasn't going to give a complete stranger money out of my own pocket. She kept trying to convince me and I kept telling her no. Finally she snapped and started cursing me out. She said I was a horrible person and father, that I didn't deserve to have children, and she wished my wife luck as I clearly wasn't meant to be a father. She said it might even be best if she lost the child as I clearly wouldn't be able to care for either of them. The only way I could prove myself as a man would be to give in and give her the money she is asking for, otherwise she might have to get a lawyer involved. I explained I knew my legal rights, as I specifically signed a contract giving away any and all of my rights to any child that may be born using my sperm. I have no legal responsibility for the child, and if she tried to sue me it would only end badly for her. Eventually her son came in and asked what the hell I did to upset her, because at this point she was crying, and I told them both to leave, as I was sorry, but this wasn't my problem. After they left I spoke to my wife about the whole thing, and mentioned I was going to call my lawyer to make sure they didn't take any further action. That's when she surprised me and said she didn't know I was so heartless. She admitted she had heard our conversation, but didn't understand how I could so easily turn away a desperate mother and a child that was biologically mine. I tried to reason with her, explain that she was just a con woman, but she just wouldn't listen. She started spiraling out of control and came up with all these awful scenarios, saying I would leave her and the baby too and abandon them with nothing. I told her there was a big difference between abandoning my wife and child, and selling my sperm. She said it wasn't that big of a leap, and learned some awful things about me today. Then she packed a bag and left for her parents. Her mom called me, and said I was a horrible man for abandoning both my children like this, and I wasn't the man she thought I was. I contacted my lawyer, and he says that if the woman did try to come after me, there was no legality backing her up, especially since I still had a copy of the contracts I signed back in college from the times I donated. But now I don't know what to do about my wife. How can I convince her I would never abandon her and our child?